Hello and welcome to All Hallows. My name's Nicola. A few years ago, I saw a cartoon in the church press. A parishioner was walking past the vicarage and saw the vicar doing some gardening. "That's a good job you and God are doing in the garden, vicar," said the parishioner. To which the vicar replied, "You should have seen the garden when God had it to himself." It's safe to guess that there will be many people helping God in the garden at this time, whether that's mowing the lawn and generally tidying up, or carrying out some long overdue garden maintenance tasks. And if you have not been gardening yourself, no doubt you know someone who has been. You've been enjoying the fruits of someone else's labour. Should we be surprised that our gardens and land need regular tending? After God had created Adam, he put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to take care of it. Genesis chapter 2 verse 15 tells us this. And since then, God has continued to give his people land to work, to inhabit, and to live in. So it's no different today, but perhaps we are more acutely aware of our land's need for our attention. Over the generations, we've come to understand the seasonality of the year and the impact that that has on the plants and the crops. As well as working the land, we do need time to allow it to rest, keep it fallow for a season. The writer of Ecclesiastes, believed to be King Solomon living approximately 3,000 years ago, was aware of the seasonality of life too, not just of life, of the earth. As he wrote, "There is a time for everything and a season for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace." Maybe this passage is more familiar to you as the 1968 #1 hit single by the Byrds, entitled "Turn, Turn, Turn," #1 3,000 years after it was first written. As I have, like you, been adapting to these lockdown restrictions and trying to embrace a new way of living rather than resist it, I've been thinking quite a bit about this portion of the Bible. Just as keen gardeners know the best way to get the most out of the earth, the time to plant and the time to uproot, so too we can learn much about the seasonality of life from this passage. The coronavirus pandemic is showing us that there is a time to embrace, so that this is the time to refrain from embracing, which for many people is not only hard, but denies them the only occasional physical contact that they will have with another person. And maybe you are one of those people. We're also learning that this is a time to weep, as we lift before God those who have been bereaved or suffered sadness due to the coronavirus in its many forms. We also hope that there will be a time at this period to laugh too, in the midst of all that's going on around us. It's the only part of Ecclesiastes that you have heard and are familiar with of these verses. Why not challenge yourself to read it at this time? If you have a Bible, it appears just after the books of Psalms and Proverbs in the Old Testament. You can look it up on the internet. It's a book of great insight into someone else's thinking. It asks many questions so relevant to today. There's a refrain in it that appears, "There is nothing new under the sun." But be that as it may, this springtime so many of us are being forced to look again at how we live our lives, our priorities and the world around us. To see afresh as many things planted last year or even many years ago come into bloom once again. But however we use this time, may we do so cautiously and carefully, to have our eyes open to the beauty of the world in which we live, but also to see where we can make a difference to our lives and the lives of those around us, both now and when the restrictions are lifted, because this is a time that we will never have again. This is our unexpected season under heaven. Amen.